Well, hello everybody and welcome. Did you like that little intro music? I was gonna go all Christmas jumper and then I thought, no, Paul's not gonna like that because they're not gonna be able to use this for anything other than Christmas time. So we're gonna kind of cut it there, and Paul, feel free to chop this bit out. John, great question. We will come to that as guys have said. And so let me just say a big welcome to you. As the title suggests, I'm here to help you get started with Ecamm Live. And hopefully if I can see John straight away, new to Ecamm, I love that. That's what we're hoping for. We really want to help those of you that are just getting started to understand what Ecamm is, how to use it. And I'm starting from scratch here, so it's why I couldn't bring your comments up or anything like that. I've literally got nothing prepared other than that little intro, and I'm going to build this up. We're going to work through Ecamm. We're going to have some fun, and yeah, you're going to see all the aspects of it, and hopefully nice and slow and steady so that you can follow along. And certainly watch the replay, go back through it, pause it if you want to, and let this be a really practical tutorial for you. So thank you so much for being here. Little intro of me, if you don't know who I am. I'm Adrian Salisbury, and I'm the founder of the Ecamm Live Academy, which we started up back in 2019. And ever since then, we've had over 2,500 people come through our Ecamm Live Academy now. We run it twice a year as a live cohort event. You can join anytime and access the training. And our next one will be coming up in March next year. So that's me. I absolutely love Ecamm Live, and I really get a kick out of teaching it as well. So hopefully you'll see that as we go through this. So as I say, starting from scratch, we're going to work through this and build out a load of scenes for you. If you don't know what scenes are, don't worry, you will in a few minutes. And then I'm actually going to bring, we'll before we go to Q&A at the end. So if you can give me an hour to have a play building out on here, I'm thinking we might take that long. We're going to then come across to Q&A afterwards. Paul is in here helping out, as is, I believe, Katie, Val, and other people as well. So we'll be able to gather up those questions. If I don't see it and we're not answering it straight away, then we can pull those together and we'll have a nice big Q&A session come the end of it. And I'll even bring in a Zoom guest as well. I won't tell you who it is yet, but somebody's coming on, and we'll do an interview here. I was even thinking, if we build this out and you like the profile and you like the scenes that we've made, I could just export it out of here, stick it up on a Google Drive somewhere, and actually drop the link into the chat if you're interested in that. So yeah, we'll see. We'll wait till we get to the end. We are going to keep this simple, but simple doesn't have to mean basic. And what I mean by that, we can do some, I'm thinking, okay, new people to Ecamm, let's keep it really simple and straightforward. But I actually want to impress you with this. I want you to go, oh, wow, how did you do that? Because I want you then to be able to take this out to your audiences and have them go, wow, how did you do that? So that's the plan, okay? That's the goal with this, that you're going to be impressed with what you see, but you're going to see everything that I'm building, and hopefully you're going to see that it is actually very simple and straightforward if you follow along with the steps as we're doing it. Right, let's just jump to the comments here. Who am I seeing? Fulgens, good to see you. Paul, Vision Profiles, started using the last 3 weeks. Now I'm using it for, and I'm using it for 3 podcasts. That's amazing. Well done. Fantastic. Right, we're going to come to these then, and I'll try and keep that chat in front of me, but those of you that have been on my lives know that I can easily get distracted by them. So you'll spot that Paul is pretty hot on this, and he's good, and he'll answer your questions if you can do, and we'll ping it across to me if need be. Right, so what is Ecamm Live? Well, on the website, the official line is that Ecamm is a live streaming and video production studio for Mac. And you're going to see as we go through this quite what that means. So we're using Ecamm Live right now to be able to go out to YouTube. Lots of other uses of this. I mean, as well as live streaming like this, we could be going out to multiple YouTube channels. We could be going out to YouTube, to Facebook, to LinkedIn, multiple other destinations at the same time. So that's a really cool feature. We could, as was asked in the comments, be using this on Zoom, either as a meeting or a Zoom webinar. That's a big use of Ecamm these days. People are using it for recording their podcasts, either as a live broadcast or just simply bringing a guest in, recording it, and then using those files to create their podcast from. Interviewing then kind of comes in very much with that. Fantastic platform to be able to sit and, you can sit side by side here. And because of the way that Ecamm does its recordings, you can get a clean file out from your guest, one of you. And then if you want to edit it afterwards, you can be cutting between the two different cameras, things like that. So really powerful presentations. A lot of people like, whether that is on Zoom or like this, to actually show up and run this as a presentation with slideshows, PowerPoint or Keynote. I was asked recently about how to actually annotate over the top of one of those PowerPoint presentations. It's all possible inside of Ecamm. We've done clever things that is definitely more advanced with writing on screen. So it looks like you can see this pen moving across the screen in front of you. But it's an incredibly powerful tool, but it doesn't have to be complicated to get started with it. All right, and then just basic recording as well. When I want to do a new video for my sales page, when I want to record a YouTube video, a video for one of my courses, I use Ecamm. Don't have to be recording into my camera, into a memory card and moving it across. I hook this up and the camera feed comes straight in and I just hit record and away I go. So that's kind of a long way around telling you what Ecamm Live is, what it's capable of. And as I say, we're going to start from scratch here. If I just do this live demo mode, you can now see my window. And if you look up here in my scenes, there's nothing in there apart from this that I've done nothing to. No overlays in there. And yeah, we're going to build this up as we go. And in fact, let's just start with this. While I've got this live demo mode on, and all I'm doing here, there's an option in Ecamm that lets you go to live demo mode, which I'm now going to lose where it is. Live demo mode at the bottom of options down here, Command-Shift-D, or I've got it as a button on my Stream Deck. And let's just start with walking around Ecamm here. So if you've downloaded it recently, you will find that it'll come like this and all these different tabs and things. Yours might be in completely different places to mine. And you can move them, you can resize them, you can turn them off if you don't want them on. Let's have a look at this and notice that as I bring my cursor up over here, these overlays and things come around the window as well. We're going to have a look at what all of those mean. Forgive me if you already know this, but I do just want to cover the absolute basics and start here. Let's just have a look around and see what this dashboard does. So right up at the top here is my show scenes window. And when I turn this on and off, actually it won't turn it off, but it will turn it on. This is my scenes window. And so when I say to make it appear, that will come up over to the side. And scenes, as you're going to find out in a few minutes, or as we walk through this, every time we do a transition or something changes, maybe I want to bring a guest on, or I want to share my screen, play a video clip, it's a new scene. It's like a new slide inside a PowerPoint presentation. So at the minute, I created one for the intro. If I just click that a second, it'll mute me, but you'll hear. And then I'm back into here. Okay, so that's done within a scene. Now I am just going to zoom in a little bit up here with this as we work around. So the scenes at the top here. Now you can see that we're live and I'm getting some nice information to tell me that I am live on here. Across the top here, I can change what we're looking at in the main window. So we at the minute are on a camera. We could change to a screen share, or we could bring a video in. There are multiple ways of getting to this. To be honest, I don't think I ever these days use these control buttons at the top here. But we'll see that as we work around. Now this is telling me as well, you don't see this information until you are live, but it's telling me now that there are 69 people on and I've got 10 thumbs up. And if somebody wants to give me a thumbs up, we'll see that change to 11 or more. Yay, right on cue there. Then as we come around the side here, these are more of we've got right in the main window here, the option to turn these little tabs on around the side. So this one up here isn't even on at the minute. Oh, that's just jumped to another window I've got. Right, let's pull that back. So this is my camera switcher down here. So if I've got multiple cameras there, or I want to bring guests in, then I can have this camera switcher up. For a lot of you, one camera, you don't really need to be worrying about this. For those of you that are wanting to bring in multiple cameras and wondering how to do it, the camera switcher down here replaces something like a A10 Mini. It can also be really powerful if you're creating lots of scenes where you're doing a slideshow presentation or something, and you want to, have the same camera on each of those slides. You can actually put a placeholder there and call it camera A, and then afterwards you can choose which camera is camera A. So that's your camera switcher there. I'm going to turn it off for now. This next one down, you'll see appearing over on the side is our overlays window, and overlays are really everything that we're bringing onto the screen. And again, you're going to see that as we build that up in a minute. My sound levels is the next one that you're going to see in the center. I really love to keep that right in the center there because I've got that visual cue showing me that firstly, the microphone is on, and also that it's sitting at about the right volume. This next one is camera effects. So there's a big drop down in here. If I want to do things like green screen, I can do. And as I pull this down, I can do some basic changes there with the camera. I can bring LUTs in. We're definitely not getting into that one. I can do some different effects here by, so on that intro one, I blurred the screen off of here. So yeah, lots of anything to do with the camera is in that tab there. Then we've got some sound effects over here, some built-in ones. And if you're bringing in audio, like I'd got that little Christmas tune playing, that goes into your sound effects. Comments is what you're seeing on the side here. And this one is guest, or it's your interview. That's going to pull that over here. So that's this one for interview. So this is interviewing, bringing a guest straight into Ecamm rather than bringing them into Zoom and then bringing them on, which is what we're going to do later. But if you want that one on, you just tick it here, and then you can invite a guest straight into Ecamm. So when I'm talking about doing a podcast recording, it doesn't have to be a live broadcast. You can still bring a guest in, chat away with them, and just hit record, much like you would probably do in Zoom, but you're going to get a much higher quality out of this here. I'm going to turn that one back off a minute and close it down. Zoom. So we have a Zoom window, and again, it allows me, we'll get to this one later, but the Zoom window allows me to start a Zoom meeting. So I don't have to have the Zoom app open. I can do it straight from Ecamm here. It's got a copy of Zoom built into it. And so you'll see this later. We'll have a go with this. And I do this all the time. I do support calls constantly, and I always start in Ecamm and open up Zoom. I find it just a lovely way to work. And if I want to be able to use my phone as a camera to show people what we're working with here and things like that, because I've got Ecamm set up, I can tap a button, my phone springs to life, and that's what the viewers see on the screen. So really powerful to be able to do your Zoom meetings from Ecamm. And also, as you're going to see later, although we're broadcasting out here to YouTube, I can still open up Zoom on the side, bring in a guest, and then bring them onto my screen without anybody else needing to be in Zoom. Yeah, that's just my place for my guest, but I can bring them in here nice and easily. Right. Thank you to the Wanderer Oz. I just spotted a comment down there. So we'll close that one down for a minute. Then we come down to preferences, and I do want to walk you through these preferences. Do we do it now? Why not? Okay. That sounds awful. It sounds like I haven't got a plan or a script for this. I promise you I have. Right, Ecamm preferences. And what I want to do with this, in fact, I might just push that to the side a bit so that let's take those comments off the window a minute while we're zoomed in. I want to walk you through these Ecamm preferences and just dial in. Now, I'll go through this quite quickly. This will instantly turn into a replay on the YouTube channel. So you can come back to this, pause it, bring up your own preferences in Ecamm and dial them in, copy these if you want, or at least hopefully understand what these settings are. So Ecamm Live preferences. We start with the general one. I would keep turned off the play app sounds. It's going to sort of ping when somebody comments or things like that. So leave that one off. I want to see the animated reactions. I'm not going to touch on everyone else. We're going to be here for ages. I do like, you'll see when we make comments appear, there's a setting down here that makes them appear on screen, and then after 15 seconds, they'll disappear. The account is just your account details. This stream, this is all grayed out because we are on a live stream, but I choose in here whether I want it 1080 or this is a really high in between that and 4K. I choose the shape of it. We can either have it as a standard 16:9 layout, or I could have portrait if I wanted to and record that way. So all of these things are done in here. This is pretty standard. If you're in the States, you're likely to want to be on 30. To be honest, it's not such a big deal. I've got mine set on 25 in the UK. I use high quality video and high quality audio. There is a little speed test down here as well that it will tell you, and I love this feature being built in now. So if I wanted to go out to multiple destinations or 4K, it's going to build up in here and tell me how much bandwidth that's going to take, and it'll either give me a tick, or if I don't have good internet, it'll put a cross there and I need to pull that down or sort my internet. So I love that it's built into Ecamm here. Recording, I've got this one set that because I'm doing a lot of this screen sharing, I also want to have a clean feed of this camera input coming through. So I've got this one set to record isolated video tracks, and it's just going to bring in this first camera. So I showed you down here the camera effects, the switcher down here. And so this is camera A. So that is going to get a clean copy of in the recording, plus this being the screen share. Does that make sense? So you don't have to have that on. If you were bringing guests in, you could tick this. In fact, I should have that ticked. So when a guest comes in, I will get a clean feed from them as well, and it will bring in their audio. Some other settings down there that you can change if you want. Destinations. I mentioned earlier that we can multi-stream, and this is where I can add a destination to this from any of these places, or a separate RTMP key that will go off and go to other platforms that aren't listed here. But this is how I can bring those in. I can have all of these destinations, and as I broadcast, I just decide which ones I want to tick on, and it will go to all those destinations at once. Under video settings here, nothing major. Again, well, I'm going to quickly go down there. I've just got my built-in camera disabled because I want this one, and I don't want my the little camera on my laptop to spring into life. Audio there, you've got some options, choosing where your speakers are. If you want echo cancellation, I'm using these little in-ears, so I don't need to have echo cancellation on. That is just designed so that my microphone isn't hearing my speakers and bringing that through. I have a mic delay on here with this setup because otherwise I'm a bit out of sync. And so all of this is changeable, and you can set all this up in here. Interviewing, we've got some settings on that. Screen sharing, you've got some options about whether it'll show your icons on your screen. If you want your mouse cursor and things on, and you can adjust the size of them as well, mouse clicks. So some really cool features there. Shortcuts, probably we're definitely not getting into that, and nor this one. Zoom at the end here. If you plan on using Zoom, then yep, you want to have, just copy down my settings on here, really. You don't want people suddenly appearing in your Zoom meeting. I'm recording this actually, or I'm choosing on this recording rather than live streaming as the message that pops up. I'm trying to go through this quick. I don't want to overwhelm you with this bit. We're going to show people's names. I recommend that you disable Zoom's audio processing. So what this means is when I'm looking down here at my sound levels and things, and the different things I've got applied here, all my sound is going to go into Zoom instead of in Zoom being given options and asked the different effects and the different amount of noise removal and things like that Zoom's going to put on. So I'm just saying, override Zoom settings, just use what I've got from Ecamm when I'm going from Ecamm into Zoom. Okay, so that's our preferences, and that's us walked around the top part of this. We've then got, where is a finish button for me would be go live. If I click finish now, it's going to end the broadcast. Down here we have preview mode. Probably not going to get into that one. And that kind of brings us back round, really. We've got a comments one here. How does that work, actually? I don't think I've ever really spotted that. I'll ask Paul when he comes on later. So that's a walk around the dashboard. Please, move this around on your desktop however you want. It will make a difference depending on what you've got. I've got a nice, fairly big monitor here. And so it allows me to spread things out. And we're doing a design here. We're going to build up these scenes as we go. And so I want to have things available to me. But when I'm actually doing a live stream normally, I don't have any of these open because everything is built and designed in advance and I'm ready to go and I don't need the distraction. So if you're on a small monitor and you're thinking, I haven't got room for all this, well, we can have it on while we're doing the building and then we can turn them back off again when we're actually live. Okay, right. Right, okay. I'm just seeing some comments there, but I'll leave those alone. So I think we get into, hopefully that's a walk around there and everybody, now there's nothing really missed. You can also look along this top. There's a lot more settings under the menus up here, but typically you can find it from the window and then you can head over to those. All right, so let's get into this. And I reckon we need to start building out some scenes with you. So scenes are up here at my top. Let's try and come in as close as I can. So you'll find that you get a new scene and we can put anything we want into this scene and then we just start again with another one. So right now, this could be a scene. We came off of that intro one and I'll tell you what I'll do actually. No, we'll come back to the intro because there's a few things going on in there that I don't overly want to confuse you. Now, I tend to name these up, so I might just say me on here when I'm looking down this and I'm thinking, oh, what's on that scene? Oh, that's just me on camera. And this is very simple on this one. So I'm going to leave this one alone because actually this is how I show up on most of my calls without any branding or anything, just like this. Now, I tell you what, actually, we will just drop in a little bit of branding. I'm sorry, that's because I've got this set to zoom in on the window there, that whenever I move my cursor, it pulls it across. Now, one of my groups and sessions is impact. So let me just show you here what I would do. All I've just done, down here, I've just in Finder, I grabbed that and brought it up. It dropped it up onto my main window. And this is an example of how I might just want to do some branding. And I'd like that logo to be on my window, but I don't want all this space around it because that's going to look a bit naff if I just stick that up in the corner there and go, hey, branded video. So what I would do with this one is let's pull it out a bit first, just grabbing it at the corner. And notice that how the cursor changes when I get into the corners or the edge. If I click on the Option key, now, while it's there, I can pull this down and see how that crops. Okay, I could do the same from a corner, so it's working two at a time. And if I did it right, yep, we've just taken off the edges of that, and I've now brought in this little logo. Now, actually, in our branding, what we do with this, so this is an image overlay. What I can do with this on any of these overlays, and it's all pretty universal now, that on whatever overlay we're talking about, we've got a very similar menu. So there's a little, as I move my cursor over it, there's a little pencil symbol, and down the side of this, I can put borders on these images. Hang on, sorry, let's bring that back onto this page. So I get a little color palette on here, and maybe I just want to put a white border around the edge of that. I can adjust a radius around it if I want to. I don't want that on this one. What I would like to do is, I'm just going to take that edge back. What I do like to do on this one, on our impact brand, we have it there at 90 degrees. And so I could actually tuck that up into that corner. And if I don't like the fact that I'm trying to work with these overlays on here, there is an option to be able to take the controls off. So I can push that down a bit. I can reduce the size of this, position it in the corner of my window. So actually there's a nice subtle bit of branding on my scene. So we either just have it plain on its own, or maybe we've just brought that in, and that can sit down the side of there, and it's just there in the background while I'm working. Now let's move on to another scene. In fact, what I'll just do is label that, and I'll say me and impact. Right, before I move on, I am just going to jump over here. I'm conscious of things coming in. Is there anything that I need to be having a quick look at? Dressing in black. Yes, I know. You escaped a Christmas jumper. I nearly went for it. Yep. Question. Right, we'll come back to some of these in a bit. So let me come on and make another scene. So within this scenes window, and remember, if it's not there, you come up to the top and you say show scenes window. Now I could duplicate that if I wanted to start with it, but I don't. So I'm going to hit plus on here, and right at the top here, it says source. And by default, one of those preferences was what did I want the default to be? And so camera selected, we want to use blank. And so what blank means is literally that, a black screen in the background there. And what I can then do is bring in myself as a camera overlay. So we're now in the overlays tab down here, and I can click on this and say new camera overlay. And as I grab that and move it, it will resize me like this. And I can put myself in here, and we can actually start branding this one now. So rather than this one where the camera's the full size and I can't really put anything around the edges of it, this way around, I would bring it in like this. And remember this little pencil symbol on the side. We choose our camera source. So mine comes in over this cam link, and that's what the camera source is then. And I can choose 16:9, and then that will lock it. I can't change the shape of that. I could do the same thing with something like square if I wanted, and it will lock it in that format. I like this custom one at the bottom. And what that means is I can grab the corner of it, and as I move my mouse around, it will change to fit. So if I wanted to push this up into the corner here and down into the bottom, I do like how Ecamm give you these lines around here. So I can move to that, and now I've created almost the same as this, but I've put myself here, and we've got a black scene going on behind it at the minute, or a background to this. We could change that color up, or we could actually bring this in a bit if we wanted to and have a bigger margin around it. So maybe we think, okay, let's put ourselves in the middle here. Notice how, again, this is snapping, and the blue lines will tell me where I'm in the center of this. We could go the complete opposite and have a white background if we wanted to. The way I would do this is we come to our overlays and we could click on the little box symbol down here. This has already kept the one that I made previously. So this is bringing in a box. There's no camera in it. There's no screen share in there. It's just a rectangle. I can choose other ones, but for what we're doing here, we're going with this. And if I just went for the basic color in here, we said about white. That's not quite white. There it is. I can push this up to the corner and fill the window with it. Don't worry that we've just gone in front of that camera, because if you can see down here in the overlays, whatever is on the top of this list is in front. So if I just click that and drag it underneath my camera, now it's put my camera in front of the white background. When I click on me here again, we could do nice things like round off these edges. We could put a nice little shadow underneath it. We can adjust the opacity of that. So the shadow is this black, that if it's at 100, it's there. You can back that off a bit. So doesn't that look different? So this one here to this one here, position it, change it around. If you've got a nice artistic eye, you could set this up here. You could have some branding down underneath, and you could turn up on here on, I mean, if I just take that off a second out of live demo, you'll see how I'm coming through now. You could have some lovely branding around this, something along the top. That can look really smart. You might have noticed that I'd got a different colored rectangle in mine. And actually, let me show you something here. We're in these overlays. So what happens with an overlay? I have three options of where I drop an overlay, whether it's an image, a camera, anything else. Actually, that's not true. Images like this. I have an option there to go show in all scenes. So if I'm going to roll through multiple scenes like this, the impact logo there, if I want that to be on every scene that I show, I could push that up to show in all scenes. And then when I move to my next one, it's still there. Okay, so I'm going to go back to it because I actually want it to stay just in the current scene so it won't copy across to this one. Now, what I wanted to show you, this rectangle here, I'm going to say white background, and I'm actually going to drag it down. So before I do, if I were to create another scene with a blank source, it takes me straight back to that black background that we had. If while I'm in here, I drag this white background out of this scene, and to say, I want it to be the background of all of those scenes that I'm making, I can drag it down into here. Now, when I create a new scene, it's already kept that white background that I got. Now I'm going to change that white one up actually. And so I'm going to put another background in here, and it's brought it into current scene. Let's drag it back down to backgrounds. And in this one, I want to change it to, so we have lots of options here. We could just have a solid color like we've got. We can have a gradient. And so I'm going to pick that from down here, and we can use a color picker. So I could go and find anything on my page to find the color from. But I'm actually going to, I've got some colors. Once you've found a nice color, you can drag it into here and build up a palette. And so I like, this is my brand colors really, this blue that I've got here. And then I've just gone with the darker version at the bottom. So it just creates a nice gradient on the window there. And I think that looks pretty nice. So that could be my background. And for every scene that I do, it will have this consistent blue background. I do have down here one that Ecamm produced for me. If I drop this image into the backgrounds here, you'll see that this is one that's been made then, that's got a, so it doesn't have to just be a solid background. You could actually have an image that you could find from Canva or somewhere else and bring that in as your background. I'm going to leave that off for now and just stick with this gradient. And so this is totally up to you where you release this and let it land in terms of the size of this image. I would just bring it back to that center at least. Horizontally, if you want it to be higher at the top and give you space at the bottom, that's not a bad shout actually. And so when I come onto this pencil again, let's just have a look at this border. So I could put a color border around this camera overlay, and it's actually remembered this white. So we're going to put this nice white border around here, and we can adjust the width of it. So that white line there, how thick and heavy we want it. Let's go there, and we can adjust the actual radius of that, how curved that edge is. We'll stick about there for now. And so we've now just created this nice frame around this. Again, we're going from a straightforward full screen of the camera to actually branding this and putting it in something now. Okay, do we like that? We've got all those same options like you saw me do earlier. We could, we can put a drop shadow. It's not as strong on this because it's a darker color behind it. Yeah. So I think that's looking nice. Let's move on. So this is me. And if I'm trying to brand up a show, like normally, I wouldn't normally start a show like this without having anything made. So this is now me branded, or me in frame. Let's say me in frame. And what I'm thinking is actually if I go to the edge of this like that, so I know that I've gone to those blue edges. Notice that it's going long and thin because I've gone for a shallower crop there. If I come down to this one, it'll sit it there and just put an edge around it. Just checking we're all right. So let's imagine now that we want to do an interview with somebody and we want somebody to come alongside us. So I will pull this up just a little bit there. And what I'll do is instead of creating a new scene this time, and actually I'm going to delete that one there. I can again click on option and drag this down, and it's duplicated. It's made a copy of this one. So I'll rename it me and guest, kind of giving away what we're doing here. And so what I can then do with this one is I can drag this back over. So it's now put me over here, and I could click on this, and if I click the option key, as I move this over, it will drag another one across, and now we've got two. And instead of it being me in this second window, we can say guest one, and then whenever I bring a guest in, they're going to sit in that second window. All right, how easy is that? The challenging bit is more trying to line these up because I'm not happy with the size of that. So I'm just going to put this one back over the top and try to get that right. Let's take it back over, sit it in the corner. That's not too bad. A little bit of a tug either side there, and we're probably about right. Okay, so we're building scenes. Do you know what I've done? I always do this, and I'm kind of glad it's happened because you're learning. So because I created and I renamed this new scene, me plus guest, but I didn't actually change this over and hit the play button. So I've edited this one instead of this one. So all I'm going to do is rename this one to say me and guest. And this one will say me framed. And then I can just pull that up there, and I've reordered it, and we're back where we started. So we're coming from this. I would be able to jump from this one, and I could interview someone, and then they'd appear at the side of me. Let's have a change again. how are we doing in the comments there? Are we all right? Paul, if you wouldn't mind if there is anything there that you want to drop back in again, maybe just put Adrian at the start of it, and then I'll know that that's an actual question. You're doing a fantastic job, and I'm glad folk are following along with us here. Let's have a go. So we've got me. What about a screen share? Maybe I want to demonstrate something on my screen. So I'm going to start with this one again, and I'll just drag this down. And this time I'm going to click it before I start editing it. And we'll say me and screen. And what I'm thinking really is like a Chrome window. So if I click on here, and I will take this one off. And what I can do is bring in a screen share overlay. So I can click this button here. You can see that it shows me new screen share overlay. Joel says it's great. Excellent. Thank you, Joel. So I can put this up here, and you see that this brought this in the same way that when we did a camera overlay and it said, oh, what source do you want? What is the camera feed? When I suggest that I want to do a screen share overlay, it says, do I want my primary screen, secondary, tertiary, or are there applications? So I want to just pick up really Google Chrome, and I've got my Ecamm Live Academy sitting there. So if I click on that, it's now going to bring in that window, my Chrome window that I've got open. And I can play around with this now. So how do I want this to sit on the window? Do I want to sit to the side here and let this come? Yeah, I mean, potentially I want to try and stick to the size of that window. And if you remember when we brought in that logo, if you were following me along at the start here, when we brought the impact logo in, we trimmed the edges. We can do exactly the same with this. And so I hit Option and I pull that down because I don't want you to actually see my browser up there. I just want you to see the page that we're talking about. So I press Option, I click on these edges, and it just trims them off. And now I've got a nice clean box. And as I move around on my Chrome window, then that's changing around in here. So I would use this a lot if I was trying to do a demonstration and needing to show my window. And I could then choose what I want to do with my camera. Do I want to stay sitting up here? If I zoom back in again a bit, I can right click this and say bring to front. And so quite often you'll see me doing this, that I've got mine just sitting slightly over the front of the window below it. That can be a nice look. And what I'm trying to do with all of these is keep to the same sort of guidelines. You know, this one here, you'll see that I'm pointing. You can't see me pointing. Right at the we're sticking within this frame here, certainly the top left and right. When I bring a guest on, I'm still in the same position up there. When I bring my screen on, I'm still in the same position up there. So it doesn't look all mishmashed and over the place. It looks like we've actually thought this through. If you don't like the idea of being over the front of it, you could take that off. By all means, you could position yourself down in the center here. This could be put in the center as well. Lots of options how you can come at this. Okay, so this is me and screen. Do I like that? I kind of feel I want to have this back up in that top corner. Let's go with this. All right. What you'll see in a bit, actually, when we bring some comments in, we'll brand up some comments and bring those in. It means that we've got some space at the bottom here that any comments could appear on the screen. And the same could be true with this one. I could bring this up a little, and it would just allow space down there. So what have we done? We've done a screen share. We've done, I've got a list up here. I'm going to tick them off so I know what I've done. We've done 2 people. What might be quite common, actually, is if I were bringing an expert on to, do this YouTube live stream with me, and I'm bringing a guest on, and I want to either share my screen, and bearing in mind, this could be a keynote presentation that we've brought on here. Instead of me choosing that Chrome window, I would have just selected a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation if I'd got the window open, and it would bring that up. So let's just, in this case, we're going to carry this on and we'll bring this down one and we'll say me and guest and screen. Please, you don't have to copy my very simple logic over here as to how I build this out. But you can see how, as we're going to get this list, it just means I can come back to it easily. So we want to slip a guest in here. Remember the command? We press Option, and then I click in here, and I can drag this down. And look, now we've got me plus a guest, and I'm going to right-click on the pencil. Sorry, I'm going to click on the pencil, change the source over to be guest 1. And so when my guest arrives, they're going to slot in there. So I'm building up options here. Can you see how this show would go? You know, I start off and I come from my intro and it comes to me. It is cropping the top of my head a little bit here because it will naturally pull it in. So maybe I do need a bit more height here when it is just me on camera. But then I'm introducing my guest and hey guest, here we are. Let's have a little chat to people and say, right, let's just open up our screen and you can walk through this presentation. And so me and guest now are here walking through. If I wanted, instead of me and screen, I could have just the guest. So I could replace that camera with guest and create a new scene. You see how flexible this is really. And this is what I'm saying at the top. I'm hoping this is coming across fairly simple. You know, if you watch this video back, we haven't done anything particularly clever. We've brought overlays on, we've put borders, we've put colors around them and things like that. This isn't anything that any of you couldn't do, I promise you. This is pretty straightforward. What else might we want to do? Maybe we want our guest to be able to share their screen. What we can do then is we're going to, again, duplicate this. So maybe my guest has got their own presentation ready to go. That's probably more typical, to be honest. And I shall say me plus guest plus their screen. And I'm going to click on here. I want to leave this one on here for now because I'll use this as my reference. But we're actually going to, what you'll see when we do a Zoom interview later, how am I doing on time? Wow, we're nearly on the hour. What you'll see when I bring somebody in is their screen can come in as an overlay here. So what I'm going to do is say I want a camera overlay, and we will put it here, straight over the top of that one. And I'm going to call this camera guest 2. And now I'm going to remove from underneath it the screen share. So remember the overlays we had down here. Let me just get rid of that. So you can see I've got my camera, guest 1, guest 2. And if I hit on the eyes on here, they'll disappear. We don't need the screen share anymore. And so we've gone from this one, which is my screen. If my guest, when they arrive, wants to share their screen, then I'll show you how we do that. And they can, over in Zoom, they can do a screen share and we can pull that in. So it's all sitting in here in the branding and it will go out to our live stream. Right. Where else do we go? I've got lots of things we could put in here. A video overlay we could bring on. I'm probably not going to do that one right now. We can come back to that one if you wanted to. A widget overlay would be good. So we've got all of these options down here actually. So there's camera, there's image overlays. Where's my cursor gone? Come on. This is our animated. I'm trying to remember these now. Screen share. We don't want a screen share right now. I was just trying to hover over it. Text overlays. There it is. Animated overlay. We haven't done a text overlay yet. That would be a good one to do. And these are the images, countdown timers, and a widget overlay. So I'm going to do a widget overlay. And it's asking me here what I want to bring in. So if I were to go to, on here, I just drop in a URL that I want to bring in. So I'm going to use that same Ecamm Live Academy. I can put a width in here, a frame rate, high resolution. I want to keep it running. Don't want to fill the entire frame. So I hit Add Widget Overlay. It'll bring it in, and then I'll be able to position it on screen. So what this is doing, a widget, is at the minute, I've got that Chrome window sitting open at the side of me to be able to have Ecamm Live Academy showing. I don't need to have that open in Chrome. I can actually bring in a widget, and I could put in a URL, a web link to anything that's public. So it could be a YouTube video, it could be a website like this, and I don't need to have it open and running. I can have this in a scene, and when I click on that one to bring in this widget overlay, it just pulls that from the internet and plays it for me. Now, what I want to show you is so much I want to show you. When I click on this, on any of these overlays, because that doesn't have a border on it at the minute, and we want it to be the same as the ones we've already made. So if I click on one of these and I say copy, and then over my widget overlay, I right click and I say paste settings, it's going to create for me that same frame around the edge of it. Now it's gone a little bit odd on this one because it's bringing in that widget, but I could push this up to here, and it's a slightly different shape. I think I can crop it, yep, if I wanted to. And so now on this one, I've got, no, I've worked on that without actually changing it. This is me, where have we gone? Let's do it on this one. We'll rename this, and we'll say, me and widget. Well, actually, what I'm going to say is me and ELA page. I don't need to know that it's a widget. I need to know what it is that's underneath it. And then on this one here, I'll go back and I'll delete that top one off, so I still got my guest. Right. Am I really confusing people? I'm going to take off guest 2 on that one. And probably on this one, I don't need to have this guest down here either. But I'm creating up a real nice little set here of scenes that I can jump between. Lots of options. It might be relevant to you, might not, but you can pick some of these, take them out. What did I just say I needed to do? We wanted to go back to this intro because I want to bring in some text and things as well. So I'm going to hit play on this, but then I'll need to just pause it. Right. So let me pause that one there. So this is, there's a scene already made here, but there are some nice elements to it that we can look at. And I didn't want to come to this first, as I said. I wanted to come back round to it. So how have we made this up? Now, hopefully you're starting to see that the scenes are these individual slides, if you like, that we put up here. And then everything that we're doing is going on down here in this overlay area. So can you start to see we've got, it doesn't really matter about the background in this one because the camera is full size. But what I've got on here, this is the source of this window is the camera. So that's the background of it. Then I've put a rectangle on. Okay, if I take that off a minute. Now we haven't played with camera effects, and I'm not really going to go much more into this than saying this, but on this scene here, I've chosen my camera and I came down and I selected this blur effect. So instead of it just being me, I can put a blur effect on and I can adjust how much blur I want on it. I just feel like it's almost like you're focusing there and I'm out of focus in the background. It's a nice way of still being in the scene, but I'm not drawing your eye away from what this title is on the front. So that firstly was blurring me, and then I still think, no, it's a bit too strong. And so that's why I brought the blue in. And so I'm even more getting lost in the background. I brought this rectangle on, and when I click on the settings here, you'll see it's the same gradient, but I've chosen this opacity. So instead of it being solid up there at 100, that's probably nicer actually, I've just pulled it back to where I think, yeah, you can see me through it, but it's a nice wash over the front. Okay. Vision Profiles has just bought Ecamm Academy. Amazing. Thank you. So this here, we've put this in. So we're building this up in layers. Camera's sitting at the background and we blurred it in this scene. We've now put this rectangle over the front, which is the same as the one we made before. The only difference is we've taken this opacity down a bit so that you can see through it. And remember that we build up in layers, so we come forwards from there. So this next one is a text overlay that says getting started on Ecamm, and the box appears over it to tell you which one you're looking at. So if I click the little settings on there and I say edit text, oh, of course it's jumped to the other window. This is what we're looking at. And so this is how I bring in text overlays. I type down here. I can choose from my different fonts, sizes. If I want to change, I can put a shadow effect on this. But if I save it, what I can then do is go and add effects in here as well. So if I wanted to put a margin around the text, I could. If I wanted to adjust the opacity of the text in the same way, I can. I can rotate that text like you saw me do with that logo earlier. I can adjust the perspective. Look at this. So it looks one side to the other. Lots of things we can do there. And a shadow, I've got a drop shadow on that one that just helps it stand out. So again, pretty straightforward. It's a text editor. You choose your font, you choose your boldness and different things. I just put it on my window here, adjust the size of it, snap it into the middle there. I've done the same with this one, but it's a softer font. And then down here, what I did was, this is a text overlay, a countdown timer overlay. And I've got lots of options with this as well. I could either set it for countdown to a time every day, to a date and a time. So if I wanted it, we were going live at 4 p.m. If I wanted this countdown to be, if I knew I was starting at 4 o'clock, and I wanted it to be a minute after, I could set it that way round. But again, I just like this. So I put in on here that I want the duration to be 1 minute 24 because that's how long the music was. Go to next scene when finished. And in exactly the same way, I choose the color, I choose the font, I drop it in here. And what this will do is when that gets down to 0, it will jump to the next scene. So these can look, you know, if you saw this or if you showed up with a start like this or an overlay like this, people would be like, whoa, how did you do that? But actually, hopefully you're seeing here, and it might be a bit much first time through, but you're seeing here how it's logical. You just bring these things in. They're text overlays, they're shape overlays, they're countdown timers, and we can do really clever things. So that will then jump from the end of this one onto my next scene. I don't want it to be that me and impact, so I'm going to leave this and it will come onto the framed one next. In fact, let me just bring that down a second. Although by the time I've done it, we'll be there anyway. Music, I just grab an audio file and I drop it onto here. We're using Upbeat for our music. There are all kinds of platforms that you can go to. Just make sure you get one where you've got music files that you can that are royalty free, that you can get them actually signed off for your account, and you can play them. Usually they're a monthly subscription. We're able to whitelist, so the music that we get from Upbeat, notice I didn't even see that, I'm talking away. So it got to the end of its timer and it moved on to the next scene. So all this happens automatically. Yeah, Upbeat, if you or so many different platforms that you can get music from. We choose to whitelist, so we can say our YouTube channel, the Adrian Salisbury channel and the Ecamm channel. So any music that I download, the license is whitelisted to be able to play on these platforms. So just be careful with those that you go through a proper site and you can whitelist your channel or your Facebook page or wherever it be, so you don't ever get any strikes or any issues with being told you can't play that music. All right, so that's how we made that intro one. We're on the hour. I'm okay if you are. I kind of loosely said an hour. Hopefully you're all right to stay with me for a bit. Something else I would like to show you, really on with this text overlay. If I were to go with this one here, and again, option, let's drag this down. Whoop. I'm going to say me and notes. Oh, hang on a second. Let me just spotted here. Yeah, okay, John, the relationship of Ecamm and Zoom for live streaming. So if you were bringing a guest, so if the destination is going out to Facebook like this, to Facebook, to YouTube like this, yes. And you're going to see in a minute, if I, give me 10 minutes, I'm going to open up a Zoom meeting. I'm going to bring a guest in, and you're going to see on the screen here exactly how that works and how you bring it in. I want to be as transparent as possible. No intention of confusing you with all this. Right, so I'm going to call this one Me Plus Notes. Remember, I need to click the picture, and I'm going to change this across to my camera. This one here, we're going to get rid of. And what I'd like to do is use these text overlays and actually put something in here. So what do we call this one? Getting started with Ecamm Live. And maybe I don't want it in the orange. We're just going to change that color to a white. I need to resave that. Owen's telling me off if he's watching. No, it's deliberately slightly off white. Getting started on Ecamm. And I could bring this in then. I can have this area to the side. Sorry, Ecamm's my son, for those of you who don't know, wondering whatever I'm talking about. Getting started with Ecamm, and I could put this over here. And maybe on this page, I want to have some bullet points, and I want to list some items down below it. And we said, number one, dashboard layout. Again, I can line that up. It will snap. It'll show me there that I'm in line with it. And what I could do if I wanted, and I do like the idea what we did before with that little drop shadow, but we're going to pull that back a bit and that distance back in. I quite like that. What I can do is have a transition that says fly in from left. And check this out. So imagine I'd come over to this page and, I'm talking with you and I say, actually, let me just walk through what we're going to do today. And the title is Let's Get Started, or Getting Started with Ecamm. And ideally, this is where a Stream Deck comes in really nicely. Mine's not programmed up for this one now, but this sort of thing where I've got buttons here in front of me, I could have this ready on that. So I'm not needing to look up here for it. But as I click on this next one, as I click on the next one, slides in from the side here, this dashboard layout, and I have another one. We could work our way down these bullet points. So this becomes a nice little canvas for us to work with and play with. Yeah, I quite like that. If you preferred, we could actually take this same overlay here. So let's take our getting started with, and look, I can do Command C on this overlay, come across to this one, pull it up a bit, and I can go Command V, and it will bring that into here, just like it would do with the text editor. I'm going to click the pencil because I've pushed that onto 2 lines and I want to get it onto 1 line this time. Getting started with Ecamm Live. And maybe I want to put it down the bottom there and center it up. Doc's in. Hey, Doc. Owen is his son, not Ecamm. What are you talking about? What did I say? So there you go. So again, different ways of using text on screen that can really brand this up and look lovely there as you're working through this. You could do the same thing with your name and your guest name that would sit at the bottom there. Page of notes, screen, guest and screen. That's a widget coming in. And then that was the one that we put at the bottom here because we're not actually enjoying it after all. So, we could go on. There are more things. There's I would like to have showed you sort of bringing in a phone camera and things that I use quite a bit. My iPad, bringing that in so that you could run your show from that. If these are things you want to see, well, let's happily come back and we'll do those again. What I want to do is to bring this to a bit of a conclusion. And so we've built out some of these scenes. How do we actually use them? I tell you what we haven't done is... or a couple of things we haven't done here. A lower third that maybe you'd want to be able to have your name appear. So we've done this one here, but actually let's take that off for now. We could do a similar thing and bring your name in. So we'll bring that one back up and we'll start from that. I'll edit this text. The most basic way to do this is to put a background on it like this, pop it in, and there's a lower third with my name on. And actually it doesn't look too bad, does it? If you wanted to take this up a notch, and maybe we'll keep that one in there and I'll copy this scene down to another one. We'll take this out, or I'll use this same name here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, so let's bring that down a bit. That we'll put that as a medium, regular. Let's go with regular. We don't want background. All right. So all we've got at the moment is this bit of text. You're going to see this as I build it up. And then I want to copy that. So I can do Command C, Command V. And now I've got a duplicate. When I double click it, we're going to change the text. And getting started with Ecamm Live. I think this one we could make into a nice bold there, and we could put that up. So we could have that there. We're adjusting the size of this. And if you remember that little rectangle that we were making before, we could create another one of those. Don't want it to be that big, so let's bring that down. We're going to stick color. Forgive me, I know I'm racing through this bit here, but I just want to get this in and then we'll answer any questions. If I zoom back up here on my window, what I can do is something like this. So actually I'm putting this block underneath and remembering over the left on the layouts here, overlays here, whatever is on the top is in front. So if I were to put this and bring my name in here, it could just frame that in there. And create something more like this, that actually, rather than just the basic overlay of this, someone's going to say they prefer this one, we could actually bring something like this in. We could go a level on from this. Let me bring in one last bit. If I were to bring in another overlay here, we could do again a gradient, and we're going to go black on the left, and we're going to go black on the right, but pull that opacity right down. I've seen others doing this. I really like the effect. We do need to just change the angle that that's going from light to dark. So we've got this lovely gradient going on there. In fact, let's bring the opacity of this side back a bit as well. And now that one could sit underneath. Where's it gone? Rectangle there. And we should really be naming these up. If I pull that down underneath, we could have this sitting here as this nice little overlay underneath it. And actually, we've gone from a very basic text overlay to 1, 2 text overlays and then 2 image overlays. And again, could just look really professional there. Doesn't that look nice? So there's all ways that you can play with this. And if I just come out of live demo for a second and let you just look at those at full size. I mean, these are good anyway. But you look at some of the guys doing these and go, wow, how do they do that? And hopefully this just shows you it isn't that hard. Everything that we've done here, you can pause, go through yourself. Yeah, we've got, you know, any of this, please don't think this is how it needs to be. You adjust the size of it, you adjust the spacing of it, you make it whatever you want. I'm just trying to give you an illustration of what this can look like. So this is me with my screen, me plus a guest with my screen, me plus a guest with their screen, me with a widget. So I don't have to have this window open. I can have a whole set of these. I could have Ecamm's page. I could have YouTube videos, things that I regularly tend to go to. I could have all set up in here. And then this is where we started with just a very basic layout, but putting a little splash of color in there just to let people see that. I see a lot of people do it with a nice signature down in this bottom corner. That can look really nice too. So I'll come back into live demo in a minute. Delay, which way is backward and forward delay? You're meaning about the audio delay? Yeah, so if it's if that's what you're talking about, what typically is happening, and I'm just seeing if it's already been answered, but there will be videos. I've done videos certainly on my channel talking about that delay and how to find it, but it's typically because the audio is getting across quicker than the video feed, and so it can cause that delay, and Ecamm will allow you just to add that in. And all I tend to do is do a recording as I'm changing that audio delay, and I'll be saying, this is it with a delay of 2. This is it with a delay of 4. This is it with 6. And then I play that back and I listen and I go, which one is in sync? And that's what I dial into, if that's what you were referring to. Right, let me just have a look on my notes. Preferences we walked through at the start. So before you go live or start your meeting, please have a go through this. And you we see it all the time in the academies. People build out some lovely scenes and they don't realize that they're muted on a scene, or the guest is much louder than them. Where possible, just run through this beforehand. And I would just talk to myself as I'm going. You could record this in Ecamm. You could record it in Zoom if that's your destination. Just start the thing, hit record and go, right, this is me. I'm in this me frame first, and now I'm going into me and guest, and now I'm going into, so you're talking all the time, and you could play it back very quickly at the end and just double check that you're not muted on scenes, because yeah, you could spend hours doing all this work in advance, not actually doing a quick test, and then be a disaster when it comes out on your show. And these audio levels here, this is a big one. Just keeping this in front of you all the time. So if I were now ready to go live, I don't need to play around with my camera effects anymore. I'm not going to mess around with sound effects. I'm not going to bring in any overlays. I need to be able to change scenes if I don't have a Stream Deck. So I can push that up there. What I haven't showed you actually is locking these scenes. There's a little padlock there. So now when I move this, because if I hadn't have had it done, if I'd have done it here and I move it, it's going to move that element of the window. I can do Command Z and always go back, but lock it down and then you can move this around. I do want to keep this open. Don't need to have my camera switcher open. And look, my desktop now is much smaller. And as we're about to bring Zoom on and find a guest to come into Zoom, you're going to see that this will make a big difference to have some space here. Even this comments window doesn't need to be blown up like that. I've got it set up nice and big so that I can see it. Oh, I was way off on that. Yeah, absolutely practice live. That's a good shout, Doc. So you can just go live to yourself on your YouTube channel and run through it, bring in some comments, which is the thing that we didn't do. I'll quickly do that and bring a comment on so that you can see it. But yeah, totally. If you can get your guests to come on and join you in advance, get them to do it, do it the day before or something and just practice going live out. It's absolutely worth putting that time in practice rather than wait until the show and then going, oh, I'm not doing that again. It was a disaster, right? Very quickly, let's pick off one of these comments and brand it. And then I'm going to show you how we bring a guest in using Zoom. So let me just come back to this framed one first of all. No, I'm not. I'm going to use this one because I don't like that one now. And we're going to make a comment appear. So let's pick Doc's comment because it's right in front of me. By default, this won't be branded. So when I click on there, look, this is Doc's comment that comes up on my screen and it's got a bit of a, semi-transparent black background there. Remember when we were in the preferences, I set this to disappear after 15 seconds. So there it goes. That's the comment gone after 15 seconds. While we're editing it, I want to turn that off. So it's in the general tab, turn it off down there. So let's bring Doc back on. What I can do is like every other thing that we've looked at, we've got this box on the side here. We can adjust a background. We can put a margin to it. So maybe the background color here, I decide, let's bring that orange back in again. Might regret it. Let's not actually. Let's stick with a black background and we will just pull it a little bit transparent there. We can put a margin around it or a border around it. So I can put a color border around this and just a fine little border there. And maybe this is where I bring in the orange. Yeah. And border width, border radius. Do we want this rounding off so it's matching in with everything else? I can adjust the size of Doc's avatar there to be full size or keep it a bit smaller. I can pull from this corner and it will adjust and it will fit to there. So normally, that I would have made a bit more space. I've locked this scene, haven't I? I would have made a bit more space so that the comments can come down the bottom of the window here. You'll see that the size changes as you move it in this dynamic mode. Maybe what I'll do actually is take that transparency off in the background so it is solid. There. And then it doesn't matter so much if it appears over the top like this. And so you can see there that I can bring Doc's comment on. And again, if I wanted to, like we did with what slid in, one of our bullet points, I can do the same thing here with a transition that flies in from the bottom. I am just going to adjust that border width slightly. And so what will happen here is that when I click on another one, they're going to slide in from the bottom like that. Come back up to my settings, turn back on that 15 seconds for it to disappear. And now I've branded up some comments. And whenever I use comments in my, what did I just say about locking a scene? Whenever I come back into this now and I want to bring a comment up on screen, it will carry that branding through. So, how are we doing? Right, so let's do this. We want to bring in a Zoom. We want to bring in a guest, right? I'm going to tidy this up because, yeah, if you know me, I'm all about kind of keeping this lot tidy. Comments are going to come down here for now. Right, so we've got a guest. We're about to do our live, and normally you would have done this in advance. Your guest would have come on before the live and they'd be sitting waiting to go. We're going to do it now. And so down here in my window is Zoom. And when I click on this, I get options to, you need to sync this up to your Zoom account first of all. Mine is in. So if I just click new meeting, my personal meeting room will just start. Or I can click to join with somebody else's ID. Or if I've got scheduled lives, I can go to those as well. But I'm just going to click this one, new meeting. And what I want to know is, right, that's gone up there. Let's pull it down. So because I'm on this window at the minute, we're in live, here we go. I'm in live demo mode. So my window in Zoom is my live demo mode window. For the sake of this, hey, here he is. So I've opened up my meeting here in Zoom. Look, just look at the bottom. Zoom isn't open. Spotify shouldn't be either. Zoom isn't open, but I've got a Zoom window, and Zoom, Paul is in my waiting room. So if I let Paul into my waiting room, so we're on a live stream over here. This isn't going out to Zoom, but Paul is sitting down here in my Zoom window now. And what I can do, I've got this, thank you very much, Paul. What I can do, this is my Zoom window that started showing me the option to tick on Zoom up there, but now it's brought Paul in. And so he and anybody else who's in my meeting will appear up here, and I can add them. So I can add their camera into here.
Recording in progress.
It's telling Paul that we're recording over there in Zoom. And look at this option I've got. So in the same way that if I were bringing in a guest previously, straight into Ecamm, he's sitting over here in Zoom on his own. He can't see this stream unless he's got YouTube open, which I know he has because he's moderating away like a pro. But when I click on these three dots next to Paul, I can say assign to placeholder. Remember that we were creating those little placeholders for guest one. So now when I assign Paul to guest one, he's still not in my show at the moment. The other thing we're going to need to do is keep an eye down here because we've now got a Zoom guest and his audio could be coming through right now while Paul's an expert, so he's muted himself at the minute. But although he's not on my window, he could actually, if he coughed or said something to somebody sitting next to him, oh, I'm on in a minute, that's going to come through. So do make sure that in this scene, I would want to mute my Zoom guest. But then look, when we come up over here, we're going to select me and guest, and magically Paul is going to appear at the side of me. Hello, Paul.
Hello there. How are you?
Really good. Thank you. It's been a while.
Yes.
Appreciate you jumping in.
No problem.
So while Paul's there, can you just see now in these sound levels that it's no longer just my audio that's moving, but there's Zoom guest as well. And so as Paul speaks on there, please.
Hello. Good morning. How are you doing?
Very good. So you can see that Paul's is coming in at very much the same level than mine. Mine is just touching into the yellow. Paul's does exactly the same when he's coming in. So I know visually, even if I weren't monitoring it, that we're about right. And I'm not going to get people on the call saying, oh, he's a bit quiet. Can you turn him up? Or he's a bit loud. The other thing that I can do is notice that Paul is slightly closer into the camera than me. If I wanted to, I could select on my camera with the camera effects here. And I could, choosing my camera, I could zoom myself in slightly so that I feel like I'm matching a little closer to what Paul's doing there. And it just adds to that professionalism that we're dialed in looking the same. Let me just come off of my live demo a minute so you can see that how it's coming through. And remember how we put the placeholder on, I'd got me and guest with my screen. So because we've used a placeholder and I've assigned Paul to guest 1, anywhere I put a placeholder for guest 1, Paul's going to appear. So when I say me and guest plus screen, I can click there and Paul still comes into this window. Paul, how hard would it be very quickly to share your screen with us? Have you got something there as a Chrome browser or something open we could use?
Yep.
So we're in live demo mode here. And if Paul were to share his window in Zoom, so notice that down there in that Zoom window, it's taken over. But up here in my little Zoom window, I've not only got Paul up here, but now I've got, in effect, another guest that's come in. And it says Paul Duncan sharing. And I can assign his screen share to guest 2. And knowing that I set up a scene that said me plus guest plus their screen, when I click on this, now Paul's screen comes in. And Paul, as you scroll your screen there, we could pass over to you, and you are now in control. I'm sitting here just introducing you, and you're now bringing your expertise to my audience. Fantastic. I love that.
Works well.
Yeah, it does really well. Now, the challenge is if you're bringing a guest, if we were doing this, if the destination was Zoom and Paul is in my Zoom meeting and I ask him to share his screen to bring it on like this, notice what's happened down there to our Zoom meeting, just like it would normally. When Paul shares his screen, it takes over the whole thing. So it doesn't work for Paul to be in the same Zoom meeting with me, share his screen, and expect it to come in like this. I just want to cover that because it's something that we've all got a bit tripped on, I think, in the past. So that's just something to point out. But I think this works really well. And Paul, I've found when I've been doing this with Owen, we're getting a higher quality feed come through via Zoom than we do when we're using the Ecamm guest feature. Is that true to your experience?
Yeah, I've noticed the same thing because it's the screen share is into Zoom, so it's not having to go through some other steps to get back into Zoom.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, excellent. Yeah, makes sense. So
somebody
I was just going to say,
up a question.
If you got anything there in questions, that'd be really good. Now we've had a chance.
Yeah, somebody just brought it. It's cool, but man, it takes a lot to bring a guest in and build it out. Everything is difficult the first time you do it. I mean, I posted earlier, when you were started to walk as an infant, you fell down a lot and you picked yourself back up and you tried it again and you figured out how to do it. And now you walk without even thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ecamm's the same way. It's not hard once you get a couple of the basics down. And once you practice it and played with it, Zoom adds another complexity to it because now you have all your Ecamm windows and you have all your Zoom windows.
Yeah.
And you just need to get used to how that all works together. Play around with it, grab some friends, come on, take a laptop or a iPad and bring a guest or your phone, bring yourself in a second time, but play with it until you figure out how, the basics of it and how it works. And then it becomes second nature. You can do it without thinking.
Absolutely. And I think, what we've just done here in this hour and a half, this is it now. This is built. And I've got all this in here. I've built myself out a set of scenes that sometimes it's just me. Sometimes I'm bringing a guest on. Sometimes I want them to share their screen. But I've got all these options in now that I can play with. So we're not doing this every time we do a live stream. It's just purely what's, this is building it out as a one-off. So yeah, I agreed, but you're right, Paul. You've just got to work through this. I'm actually looking at some editing software at the minute, pulling my hair out, I hate starting out new with a new bit of software. But I know that when I'm past it, it'll be worth it. And I think, for those of you that are brand new to Ecamm, please watch this through a few times. You can build out everything that we've done here. We could, I did say actually about pulling this down. I'm very happy to do that. If people want to, we could just export this out and make it available to them. Any other questions, Paul, that stood out there that we ought to have a quick look at or answer?
Let's see, there was one. It says, my need is to be able to live stream, but be able to hit the record button during the live session for short bursts of clips later. Can you bring up your control panel on the screen? All the
what do you mean, the preferences?
Yeah, no, go back to the main screen, just you again. So you're in full screen. Actually, it is going to have to be I'm sorry. It is going to have to be the program window.
Where are you? Oh, I've muted you on that window. Sorry.
If you hover over where you are on the window. Okay. Yeah. So up there at the top, you will, depending on how you have it set up, you will see an option to record, and you can actually stop the recording and then just start it up again. So if you needed to get clips, you just go up there, you have live streaming and you have recording turned on. You can just turn the recording section off. It will stop the recording or start the recording depending on the nature. Record a session, then when your clip is done, you can stop the recording. Yeah.
I've never done that.
You can also do it. You can also do it from a Stream Deck. Stream Deck makes it really easy because there's a recording button that you can program on. If you don't have a physical Stream Deck, there is a mobile app that you can put on your on your iPad or your phone, and it turns your phone into a Stream Deck. So you can do stuff like that. But I've done that where I've wanted to have a clip of something that I was going through or talking on a live stream. I hit the record button, it records it. I hit the record button again, it stops it. So
but you're not recording the rest of the live stream.
No, you have to keep in mind that if your goal is to record the entire live stream, you're going to mess that up because it's going to stop it and restart the thing. If that's what you're doing, then you're going to have to use some sort of an editing program to go in and cut that out.
That's what I was thinking is rather than not having the whole thing, to my mind, it makes sense just to go back through and find that clip or use a tool that will.
Yeah, the person that asked that question said they do a 3-hour live stream and they don't want to record the entire 3 hours. They only want to record bits and pieces of it. And in that case, that would work.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, thank you. I've learned something today.
You also mentioned it earlier there was like a little chat icon that showed up in the lower left-hand corner next to preview mode.
Yeah.
That is there if like you don't have your comments and reactions window open, so you're not like actually monitoring. That little icon will appear letting you know that you have comments in your comment and reaction window so that you can then open it and deal with them. So if you didn't have it open,
so if
it's
I
kind of
turn
a little
that
reminder
off,
saying.
So you're saying when another comment comes in, that will give me a.
Click on that icon. It's telling you you've got comments. You've got comments. So if you click on that,
the fact that it's there means that there are comments.
Yep.
And just to show the window. Okay. Yeah. So it's just the same as this one up here.
Yep. But that one gives you no indication that you actually have comments. So, but the one in the lower corner shows that there are comments now in there. So
fair enough. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Paul. Any other questions?
Somebody else?
Yeah.
I think somebody said, could you explain how to bring a camera switcher into the external Zoom camera in, which I think is what he did when he brought me in. The only thing I wanted to add there is with Zoom, you can bring in 8 people. So you can pre-assign 8 people from your stream into Zoom and bring them in as separate cameras. There's also an option in Ecamm for the active speaker window. So that window would change anytime anybody started speaking. So you have other options there, but to actually assign physical people, you can only assign 8 people at one time. There's nothing to say you can't switch those people out on the back end and move things around to bring other people in, but you can only physically assign 8 people at one time into Zoom.
Yeah. And I think just be careful with that. I can see already that mine is sticking a bit. while I've got you here on here. And I've got, as people can see, none of my other apps open. So just be careful with, you start to suddenly bring in 5 or 6 people.
Yeah, be aware of the computer that you have. Streaming is probably one of the most intensive processor, applications you will possibly run, unless you're doing some sort of gene splicing or something else on the side. So you have to be careful. And if you're streaming right now and you're running like on a MacBook or some other thing, and your fans are kicked into high gear, you are already stressing your computer. It's having to cool itself down.
Yeah.
Processing causes heat. Heat generates the fans to come on. That's why we don't recommend using airs, because airs have no fans in it. The only way it can control cool off your processors when they get hot is to basically start throttling, and then everything starts slowing down. Yeah. So you want to be aware of that. So you can bring in you could bring 8 people in through Zoom and all this stuff, but can your computer handle it? So you want to test these things before you try it and go live.
Yeah. Yeah. It scares me when I see what people have got. And we just mentioned that point, shut down anything else that you've got running. I find Spotify can be a big drain if that accidentally is still open. Just making sure that you haven't got unnecessary apps open and running. You haven't got a ton of tabs open in Chrome that are all working in the background. Because this is when we get the feedback of people saying, oh, it crashed my computer or it went sticky. And they're all tips that you can, give your computer as much chance as possible and really push all the power to Ecamm, to the apps that you need.
Yeah, somebody else was talking about lag earlier, and that is inherent, because you're passing things through like this.
Were they meaning just seeing the screen?
I think they were talking about when they talked and the mic, and it can be a multitude of things. It could be some mic delay, which the post that we put in talks about how to correct for that. Yeah. But lag is inherent because there's lots of different things happening. It's like this stream alone, getting from Adrian to Zoom, and then from Zoom to YouTube, and then YouTube out. There's a lot of steps and a lot of pathways, and each of those adds lag. If you watch the evening news and you see people with earphones in and they're talking to a remote reporter out in the field, and they say something, that reporter is not answering just like they would instantly if they were. I mean, take your phone and talk to somebody in the same room with you. You talk and you hear them talk. It's like it's not synced up. That's inherent with electronics and the world as it is. So it's a fact of life. You just have to adjust it. If your content is fantastic and on target and engaging, people aren't going to really care.
And as long as it's in sync, camera and audio, no one's going to know anyway. But it can be off-putting to you if you're looking, going, oh, I'm speaking out of time. It looks, but trust it. And again, test it, record it first. Check, are you in sync as you're speaking, and fix it if needed. But for most cameras and mics,
it's going to happen. There's going to be times when you do go out of sync. It's just it's the nature of the beast and the internet and everything like that. Yeah. Just don't let it throw you. Just continue going. It's like if somebody makes a comment, say, sorry about that, there's nothing I can do, and just keep on moving. But don't let it derail you, because it's going to happen.
Totally. I'm just seeing here, Marianne's just saying, can I assign just one button on Stream Deck for go live and end live? Yes. So it starts when you drag it over, it'll say go live. And when you actually go live, it'll change back to end. I would just give a big warning on this, because I've done it actually on one of my live streams when, what was I doing? It was the Stream Deck pedal I did, I think, on that video. And I caught my Stream Deck and it touched that button and it ended my live. when you end the live in Ecamm, it kind of gives you a second option. Are you sure? And then you have to click that. When you assign it to a Stream Deck button, tap it and you're out. So just be careful that you don't accidentally hit it if that's what you're going to do.
One of the things that I've done with putting a button like that on a Stream Deck is, if you are there's something called a multi-purpose button. So I've created another window or folder that has the actual end button on it. So the first time I push it, it basically moves to the page where that button is. I have to hit it again in order to actually end the stream. So it's just like press it once, are you sure? And then you press it again and it actually ends it. So you can do something like that to kind of protect yourself, because we've all done that.
Yeah, Marianne says she was on that live when I did it. So yeah,
it happens.
I took it straight off. I don't have an end. I mean, typically, if I were doing a presentation or a live, I would go to a end scene anyway, and maybe have an outro video playing or something like that. We haven't got today, so I will just stick with the default. Click it. Are you sure? And we'll end it that way.
Yeah, right, I've even done that where I've been demoing, and I have a scene set up where the scene goes, it ends broadcast, and I've been showing how it works. Not thinking what I was doing, showing that scene and how it was set up. And the next thing it goes, it ends my stream. And it's like, I didn't really want to do that.
Yeah, in the same way, what Paul's saying, in the same way at that intro one that said move to next scene, if you're playing a video, you can tell it, instead of go to next scene, end the broadcast. Yeah, and I've done exactly the same thing, Paul. Scary. Right, we ought to wrap this up, I think. I hope that's been helpful and useful for people. I can happily just put a link into the chat just to a Google Drive file if people want to be able to get to this and use what we've got. I don't think there's any logos or anything that I've put on that I'd be bothered about. So if this helps people, we can do that. And actually, while I'm just there, if I just come back into live demo, why don't we show this? So under my profiles, the only thing I need to pull out is that music file, because it won't be licensed to people. Hold tight a second, Paul. I'm just going to pull this out and then we'll actually do this.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, even if you on the replay, if you have any questions, you can post them in here, or you can also post them in the community. The great thing about Ecamm is this community is very friendly, very helpful. So if you post in either Facebook or Discord, you will get an answer. Somebody will, people will reach out and help you. Yeah, for sure. If you need somebody to come on a stream with, come on a test with you or something like that, post that in the community, and people, if people are free and have some time, they'll be happy to pop on. Yeah, absolutely. Great point. Thank you. So I'm just going to click up here in profiles. We didn't really talk about profiles. I kind of figured we're just going to work through these scenes. What we've created here is a profile. And so I can have, you can see I've got a whole stack of profiles here. And maybe if I'm doing a presentation or something else, I would save this out. Maybe this blue background, I want to have a red version for another customer or another use case. So I can just export this current profile, and I'll drop it there onto my desktop. I will upload this to a Google Drive. That's all right with you, Paul? And just, I don't think it needs to go through a page or anything. It doesn't bother me. We'll just put this up onto Google Drive. This is also, if you were working with people and you wanted to be able to move from one computer to another, maybe you're sitting at home working all this out, and then you want to be able to send this same profile across to your laptop, or send it to, I might want to send it to Owen, my son, so that he can work on it. The beauty of having this camera switcher and using camera A is like, on this computer, I could have all these things allocated to guest 1 and camera A. When I move on to my next one that might not have a cam link, it will still lock into camera A. And on that one, I can then select when I open it up and choose which camera is camera A, and it will work exactly the same over there. So we've just done that, exported this out. You will be able to download it. When I say about importing it, you can just double click it, or you can drag it onto your Ecamm window, and it will bring it in as a new profile over here, and it will look exactly the same as this, except Paul and I won't be in there. But feel free to have a play with that, mess around with it, change the colors, do what you want with it. And please let us know in the comments if you manage to do something. Or as Paul says,
head over into the Ecamm community group. Show us what you made with it. That'd be fantastic. But I reckon we leave it on that, Paul. Thank you so much for letting me pick on you as a volunteer.
No problem. Thank you for walking through this for everybody. It's been very, very helpful.
Good. I hope so. I'll keep an eye on the comments and let me know if we can follow up with any of this. And as I said, guys, if you're watching this now or in the future and you've got extra, maybe there's something we didn't really cover and you'd like to, like the presentation and using an iPad, let me know. We can happily jump on and do another one of these. But appreciate you being here. It's been a long time, hour and 45. Well done to those hardcore ones that have stayed with us. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Christmas, a nice break. You taking plenty of time off, Paul?
Yeah, I'm going to go over to a friend's house for Christmas Day and that stuff. So
brilliant.
Taking it a little easy.
Yeah, well done. No, awesome. Well, thank you so much to you, to Ecamm, to everyone that's been on. You can see I'm still in live demo mode. You saw how I just subtly did that, and I clicked that button so that I'm ready now on end broadcast. And actually, my cursor is sitting over it, so I don't even need to look at it. I could just tap my mouse, and I know that it will go. But I'll pop out a live demo. Thank you so much, and we'll see you at some point in the new year. All the best. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, everybody.
Yep.
Bye.
Thank you.